everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Epic Marvel Podcast YouTube channel. And thank you for being here, everybody. It's great to see all you familiar faces here. Phil reminding us to hit that like button right off the bat. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. And Ryan, Nehemiah, and Batman, and James. Um, Luciano, that's a name I don't recognize. Nice to have you here on the in the chat there. Um, Last week I had no epics to collect to open up. I had no boxes. I shared a whole bunch of some recent pickups that I got at a library sale, and it was a great conversation about comics, the type of comics that we don't usually talk about here. So that was really nice. Um, and then after the live stream, I went downstairs, or like no, after like an hour later after the live stream, some boxes showed up. So some of these books that I'm opening today, I've been sitting on for a week because I wanted to open them up with you, and it's been killing me because I really want to know what's inside. So we're going to open up those as well, and I've got something here that I got from Indigo, and it's a DC Finest. So we're going to talk about both of those things. Phil still trying to push this catchphrase, and I don't know that it's gonna go, but he's gonna keep on trying. The man, the myth, the legend. Thank you, Batman. Thank you very much. Joe's here too. Hi, Joe. How are you today? Well, we might as well just kind of get get on this here. Yes, a week. I'm not as bad as Michael Letty because Michael Letty just lets them pile up. This one, I was specifically waiting for you, Phil. I was waiting because I wanted to open it up on the channel just for you because it's probably a modern epic and you're going to love it. I say that jokingly, knowing he doesn't read any modern Marvel. This one is great. I know which book this is, and I've been waiting for it for a long time. It is DC Finest Horror. And why am I waiting for this one? Because I love these short story collections. I'm a big fan of the EC comics and that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of those collections, creepy, eerie, and there's just something about that late Golden Age and Silver Age way of storytelling, um, where they were just taking like an 8-page concept, like a concept, and just writing it in a short story form, and really doing a good job. And all of that stuff, like the way that they're able to craft the story and just drop us into the middle of a scenario and then give us a twist ending, because usually they have twist endings, and that's pretty remarkable too. And they kept it fresh. EC is definitely the bars up here. Fantagraphics has been doing a lot of the old Atlas era Marvel comics, horror collections and such, and those ones are a little bit lower, not quite as good. They still got some really good talent on there, so I'm really eager to see what DC was doing. This collection is 1969 and 1970, so it's the very tail end of the Silver Age, and it includes a bunch of different titles, as you can see here. House of Secrets, The Witching Hour. Let's see. It's House of Secrets 81 to 85, House of Mystery 180 to 185, The Witching Hour 3 to 7, The Unexpected 313 to 317, and a story from Phantom Stranger number 5. So this isn't the first volume, like chronologically the first volume. There will probably be more that come before this. There will be some that come after this. It's kind of right in the middle, giving us some of the content that I think that readers are familiar with. Most of this stuff, I believe, hasn't been collected before. Some of these stories, especially some of most famous ones, have, and I believe there are some omnis for books like House of Secrets and that kind of stuff, right? And I know The Witching Hour, at least the famous cover by Bernie Wrightson, that story has been reprinted before. So, but a lot of this content's going to be new. Classic writers, classic artists. Yeah, Jerry Conway, Marv Wolfman, Alex Toth, and Bernie Wrightson get all the cover credits. And so that lineup is just really, really great. Batman says, "I'm so glad DC is doing these genre books." Yeah, we've had one already, which was science fiction. And this is the second one, horror. And we're going to be getting Western pretty soon as well. So let's take a look inside. This book is called The Devil's Doorway. Let's see. In addition to the artists and writers that I said before, we also have some Kurt Swan work here, and Jack Sparling, Gil Kane, Mike Sikowski. What? Sergio Aragonis has does something in here? That's great. Um, wow, yeah, just there's so many different artists because each one of these, Werner Roth, Jack Abel, um, Pat Boyette, really, really good. I would like to say that my late great Aunt Mary, thank you for those. I would like to say to my great late Aunt Mary, thank you for those old DC comics. Now I'm into Marvel, Sega, IDW, Sonic the Hedgehog, Dark Horse manga. Yeah, that it's just great. I My grandmother is partially responsible for my obsession with comics as well, and it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Lots of table of contents pages because they're all short stories, so there's a lot of titles, a lot of credits. Do you dare enter the House of Mystery? This one looks fantasy themed. I bet for horror you can jump into different like subgenres or use horror as the subgenre for your thing. There's the title page book right there. But there's no famous characters here. You're not going to see Batman. You're not going to see Superman. Um, these are all kind of one-off characters, all kind of just ordinary people a lot of the time who get mixed up into weird situations. Wow, yeah, really cool. The colors are great. Everything's been nicely restored. I don't know. I believe it looks like it follows all of the original colors. I don't see any like gradients. Man, there's a lot of fantasy theme stuff in here, isn't there? That's interesting. I mean, 1969, we're definitely in the age of swords and sandals kind of storytelling, so it makes sense that it would be. Oh, that's Sergio right there, isn't it? That looks like Sergio, not his typical style, but definitely his style. Those are his kind of feet there. No, no famous characters. Cain and Abel would like a word with you. Well, yes, sorry. No famous superheroes. I don't think you can call Cain and Abel superheroes. They didn't have any superpowers, but they are credited with definitely kind of the first horror story in the Bible. Yeah, here we go. Wow, very cool stuff. Um, all I know about The Witching Hour comes from the DC Loons crossover with Catwoman and Sylvester and Tweety Bird. What? I don't know anything about that. In the 50s and 60s, due to the comic code, House of Secrets and House of Mystery became sci-fi titles. I wonder how DC Finest will categorize those issues. Yeah, well, because they have a catch-all series for science fiction, I bet they'll be in the science fiction section. Unless they definitely have horror themes. But if they're just science fiction, then stick them in the science fiction book. It's not like they're splitting up all their books and like Superboy and like Hawkman appeared in so many different books, and they put all of his stories into a Hawkman collection. So I think that they could do the kind of the same thing with just random science fiction ones, even if they're under the title House of Secrets and House of Mystery. Oh, there's another Sergio. Man, really early looking Sergio as well. Not quite defined in his style, but I'm glad um it has all of these kind of funny gag cartoons too. They didn't cut those out. They kept them in, and that's awesome. Okay, here's another famous one. This is a Captain Ahab, the secret the secret of the whale's vengeance. It is not Ahab, it is just another whale story. I love it. Look at that. Look at that great those great panels there. I love this old style, just the classic Silver Age style where we get lots of really great composition. I love the colors, that how they play with the kind of the abstract, you know, plain. Oh, there's a fully colored one. Plain like monochromatic. Oh, look at that. Speaking of monochromatic, that looks really cool. That's got to be an Alex Toth. Yeah, definitely looks like Alex Toth. He has such a distinct, remarkable style, doesn't he? You can recognize that anywhere, and I'm so glad that there are stories of his in here. That's very cool. He's one of my favorites. I've got a ton of Alex Toth books, his Zorro stuff, so the big collections that IDW and the Library of American Comics put together a while back that have tons of his stuff, including original art, and it's just he's so fantastic. Monkey says, "What years are these from? Late 50s, even later than that. This is actually 1969 to 1970, so it gets pretty close to the Bronze Age here. But these all look like they have that Silver Age feel to them. So we're definitely not in the Bronze Age yet. Really nice. Can't wait to dig into this. Um, wow, yeah, really cool. Oh, they even have the text pages. Does anybody actually read these stories? I have to admit, I usually tend to skip over them. They're not usually very good. So, the ones that I do read, but they've included them here anyway for those of you who do enjoy those. So that's cool. I think DC Finest has been killing it with these greatly diverse releases. Indeed, it's nice to see them taking a risk. I can't say that this is going to sell like way better than Batman. Of course, it's not at all. It's you can't. It doesn't have the same sort of marketing potential behind it, and especially like you can market it based on these people's names, but honestly, there's not a very many of us, the circle of people who really care about, Marv Wolfman and Alex Toth's contributions, like collaborations, kind of small. So marketing this kind of book is going to be tough. So please pick it up. Um, comic book companies are starting to be way more picky about pre-orders, and because costs are expensive, so they do their print runs based on pre-order sales. And so they'll look at the pre-orders and then give a certain percentage over top of that, and that's going to be their print run. And it's not guaranteed that they're going to go back to print for a lot of this stuff. We don't know yet what DC's plan is for reprinting, like second printings of DC Finest. So if you really want any of these books, it's really best if you pre-order, so that and like you got to hit that final cutoff. So like you got to pre-order it a couple of months. It's not good enough to just pre-order it like a couple of weeks before, because it's already at the printer by that time. You need to get your pre-order in like 6 months back. So that's how you can help the line. If you order from some retailers like Indigo in Canada, they won't charge your card until it actually ships to you. So there's no risk of just doing a whole bunch of blanket pre-orders and and helping out the numbers on that. So yeah. To be fair, the industry has always relied a lot on pre-order numbers. It's just that now with the cost of everything rising, it's even worse. Yeah, that's true. They always have. They have always based their numbers on pre-order sales, but they used to add that extra percentage. Must used to be way higher, and their print runs would be much larger. But they are really cutting back and being a lot more frugal with what they're producing. Not just Marvel and DC, but it's kind of across the board. So um, definitely get that in. I found a Detective Comics #1 in a facsimile in their Millennium edition, but it was released 24 years ago and nothing since. This is the comment. I've been searching for pre-Batman Detective Comics reprints, but given a lot of racism in them, DC makes them really scarce to find. It's true. They were planning a big omnibus of the complete collection of Detective Comics 1 through 26 before Batman, and they had solicited it and everything, but then they got cold feet. and they pulled it, which is too bad. But you're right, there is a lot, like right on the cover of issue number one, it's Fu Manchu and all of his yellow scare propaganda. So they got to be careful about that kind of stuff. It's hard to market it, even if they put a little disclaimer. Like all of these books have little disclaimers in them. Um, let's see if this one does. It's usually in the table of contents. Yeah, right here in the corner. It's so tiny. So it doesn't, like, it's unobtrusive. It's there for, legal purposes or whatever. But if they were to do something like Detective Comics, it's got to be a little bit bigger than that. They got to say, "Hey, just so you know, this stuff has a lot of kind of questionable bad content in it. Um, Reader beware. Let's put it into some historical context." Like, you got to do more than just that tiny little paragraph at the bottom because that's really nothing, right? Okay, that takes care of the first book. Now, where do I put it? Right here. Let's move on to a box. Um, Even on Marvel Unlimited, Tomb of Dracula issue, I think 12 has a disclaimer of racism on it, similar Yellow Peril type stuff. That's good. I'm glad that they do. I think it's important to give that kind of a warning because you don't know what triggers people. You have no idea, and what is totally unoffensive to some people is damaging and hard to take from other people who have lived in the shadow of that treatment their entire lives. So it's good to have that. It's good to have it there. So much packing in here. Is there even a book? I don't know. Ooh, here we go. First one, Ghost Rider Epic Collection, Volume 1. Whoops, I just dropped something. Um, no, sorry, not Volume 1. What am I talking about? Volume 3. This is Ghost Rider, the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, Volume 3. It's called Death Race. And let's see here, 1978 to 1980. It's Ghost Rider versus Johnny Blaze, and one shall die. Very, very cool. Want to see the cover picture there? Uh, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just basically the cover image here of these two guys. Okay, let's see here. This is Ghost Rider 29 to 50 plus Marvel Team Up 91 and material from What If 17. That's cool. And Marvel Tales 256. I've noticed that they've been putting more and more what ifs in these collections recently. They haven't really typically done that in the past. So that's great. And you can see the big credits here, Roger McKenzie and Michael Fleischer and Don Perlin on the artwork. Don Perlin's really great. He's a solid storyteller and artist. He never was too flashy, never got a whole lot of attention, but he was consistent, and I really like his stuff. And he got to do some pretty cool projects and some projects I'm sure he didn't care about as well. I remember reading an article about him just hating Transformers because of all the robots, and every issue would have like 20 different robots, and they all have to look like the toys. So, hey, that's a cool layout with the black in there, with the subtle hints of panel layout panels on here. Very cool. Um, I never cared about Ghost Rider growing up. He just was never a character. Oh, Dormammu. That's cool. This is a Doctor Strange issue. Um, Look at that. So cool. Look at that picture. Um, but yeah, reading through these, I think honestly, I think I like um the Danny Ketch stories better than Johnny Blaze, and that's going to be a personal preference for a lot of you here. But um, the second volume I liked better than the first volume, and so I'm gonna of this Johnny Blaze stuff. So we're gonna see what it's like here. Aha, that's the original Ghost Rider, I think, the one that got renamed Phantom Rider, I think, later on. He was a Golden Age character, had a like a 5-issue miniseries. They called himself Ghost Rider, and then that was way before Johnny Blaze came along. There you go. We're going deep into the Western themes here with a noose in the Wild West, Ghost Rider in the Wild West. They've brought that concept back to Ghost Rider in more recent years, how there's different Ghost Riders over the years and such. Oh, Phil says, nope, that's a bounty hunter. It's not the original Ghost Rider. Well, that's too bad. That's cool. Look at the bubble boy up there. I love the wind effects in that one. That looks great. Restoration looks great on this stuff. I believe this has gone through the Masterworks program, right? So these are probably the Masterworks files that we're getting on here, which means that they're going to look really, really nice. Although, this is 1978. Maybe they haven't got this far with the Masterworks. I don't know. Somebody in the chat can tell me, someone who keeps up with the Masterworks. I don't, so can't say for sure. Masterworks, RIP. Look at this guy. Kind of looks like Race Bannon from Johnny Quest. Ah, Conroy Jet has the answer. They have. So yes, this is all then Masterworks files, and they look great. Have you ever seen Ghost Rider without his leather jacket on? There you go. Just joking. I don't know if that's him or not. This is probably the Marvel Team Up issue. Let's get to the cover. There you go. Marvel Team Up, Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. The Carnival of Souls by Stephen Grant and Pat Broderick. Hands up if you want a Marvel Team Up Epic Collection series. I love that they have all of these issues in all of the like spread out through the epics, but I think it's time for Marvel Team Up. What do you think? It's been a while since we've had a new line, a new classic line that's like older than the 90s in the epics. I think um the last new line in the classic era was Blade, which is from the 90s. So yeah, we definitely need something a little older than that. Um, especially with some of these big lines wrapping up pretty soon. Man, a lot of Western stuff in here. That's kind of cool. This looks good. There it is again. Oh, this is the actual. Oh, Knight Rider. That's right, not Phantom Rider. Knight Rider. This is the actual original Ghost Rider. Right, Phil? Right? You got me? He makes an appearance in West Coast Avengers. What if Ghost Rider, Spider Woman, Captain Marvel were villains? So I'm guessing it's just the Ghost Rider story. It's not going to have the Spider Woman or Captain Marvel story in here. It's just a, yeah. Uh huh, uh huh, uh-huh. And then from Marvel Tales, an original Marvel Tales 256, December 91, reprinted Marvel Team Up 91 and featured a new backup story that followed the exploits of the Carnival of Souls sideshow freaks. Okay, okay, okay. So that means look, because yeah, these comics probably had a smaller page count, so they needed to fill out the missing issues there. So that's kind of cool. Um, So it's not contemporary, which is unusual for Epic Collection since this one was published in 91, but it fits here with the content, so they stuck it in here anyway. And that's nice. We've got some original art, cover by Rich Buckler, Don Perlin and Alfred Alcado, Alfredo Acala on art, the original art page. This one's Ernie Chan. That's cool. He's great. Death Race. There's the original art. Wow. And an unused cover by Jim Starlin. And what is this here? Reflections on the Blazing Skull. Oh, wow. an index of every appearance of Ghost Rider. Not all of these are in the Epic collections because they're not including any of his champions appearances in there. So there you go. Yes, and Spider-Man and ancillary titles, they all need some love. Yep, Web of Spider-Man. I'm hoping all of those will get Epic collections at some point. So yeah. Oh, Axel Plate is here. Is this the first epic of the night? Yes, yes, it is. I'm just opened up this box. Previously, we were talking about DC Finest Horror, but this is the first epic collection that we're talking about in this stream here. Matt H. Can't stay. Wanted to thank you for this stream in advance. Yeah, no problem, Matt. And happy to see this awesome Ghost Rider epic. Have a great night. A Champions epic would not go amiss. It would be a one and done volume, and they already have collected that entire series in one thick trade, a complete collection. And so they would just have to reskin that complete collection as an epic collection, and it would be fine. And that book, I believe, is out of print, so it's time to bring it back. Looks like a bunch of people would like to have Champions epic collections, and I think that would be great. One volume, that's all it is. That would be great. Be perfect. Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, sorry, let's see what's the release date on this one here. Um, I think it's the end of the month, end of September. This book is going to be released on September 30th, a couple weeks from now. Okay, another box. Let's see what's in here. Sorry, let's click back over to my tab. Opening it from the bottom because that way I don't have to worry about the all of the packing stuff because the Epic will be laying right here on the top. And here it is. Get that block out of the way. Carnage, Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 1, brand new series. This is what Phil's been waiting for. We love to poke fun at Phil because he hates symbiotes with a passion and he doesn't read any of the modern era. So this is right up his alley. Carnage, Modern Era Epic Collection featuring Carnage numbers 1 to 5, the 2010 series, Carnage USA 1 to 5, Minimum Carnage Alpha, Scarlet Spider 10 and 11, Venom 26 and 27, and Minimum Carnage Omega, and also Superior Carnage numbers 1 through 5. So the Minimum Carnage storyline that includes the Scarlet Spider and Venom issues that has already been reprinted in one of the Venom Modern Era Epic collections. So I would say probably 5, 10, 15. So about a third of this book is a double dip um if you've been buying the Venom Modern Era Epic collections. Look at that list of all of the Modern Era stuff. It's getting bigger. Okay, main credits here: Zeb Wells. Here are the writers: Zeb Wells, Cullen Bunn, Christopher Yost, Kevin Schnick, and that's it. And then the artists include Clayton Crane, Lan Medina, Coy Pham, Riley Brown, Steven Segovia, and Dan Mexia. So there you go. Minimum Carnage is such a silly name for a story. It may be silly, but they're playing on of course, they're playing on the Maximum Carnage line, and it's a story where Carnage shrinks really, really tiny. So of course, the Minimum Carnage kind of makes sense, right? So and also in that story are the Micronauts. So if you want to read a modern day appearance of the Micronauts, they're just called the Microns in that story because Micronauts um, is a trademarked name owned by Hasbro, so they can't use it. But um, Yeah, you get to see uh, a bunch of those characters that Marvel still owns. So here, this is the Carnage miniseries, fully digitally painted art, very, very different style than anything you really see in comics. This is Clayton Crane, and he did the Venom versus Carnage miniseries that came out slightly before this was published. And I think I don't know for sure, but this might be kind of just like a follow up to that. But that series, that Carnage versus Venom series, is at the very end of the Carnage Classic Epic Collection Volume 3. And so that kind of is where the split is. And this is the first time he gets his own solo title. So that is what is designated as the beginning of Carnage's modern era, where he becomes a feature character rather than just a villain in somebody else's book. So Carnage USA, can't say I know anything about these stories because Carnage is not a character that I followed, particularly past Maximum Carnage. But looks like everybody's going to be covered in symbiotes here. I'm guessing that he takes over the country. Maybe everybody becomes a symbiote. That seems like something Carnage would do. Very dark. This is a dark book. The pages don't show very well with the glare off of my light. Wow. And the Agent Venom. That's cool. Some Agent Venom stuff that is not in the Agent Venom Epic collections, which is just the modern era epics, Venom epics. So that's great. I actually really like those ones. That Agent Venom is a neat character. So I'm excited to read those. There's a Scarlet Spider. Oh, of course. That's why Agent Venom is here, because this is the Minimum Carnage story. So I've already read those issues. Whoops. There's Scarlet Spider. Whoa, yeah. This goes into some pretty weird places. Here are the Microns. Commander Ran, Marionette. They just call her Mari, and then Bug, and a few other new people that weren't in the classic series, I think. There. That's he's not so minimum anymore. Oh yeah, and what's the last series here? Superior Carnage. That has some nicer looking artwork here. I'm not terribly a fan of the fully painted digital stuff from this era. Doesn't look too great. Clayton Crane has improved a lot as an artist. I see some of his modern, like his current stuff, and it's really cool. But I wasn't as keen on that early stuff here. This is good. I like this a lot. Claw. Um, is there a content warning on this? There's not. Interesting. I would have thought because oftentimes they'll put a parental advisory thing if the content is too mature, and I would have thought that modern era Carnage would get that warning on here, but apparently it does not. So there you go. I guess that means this is for kids, right? No. Okay, let's see what kind of bonuses we get in here. Variant cover art, as usual. Most of these modern epics have like 50 pages of variant cover art. Um, but we just get a few here. And look at that. The next modern era epic collection is going to be Annihilation. I've been waiting for that one for a long time. That's very cool. Okay, and there's the spine for you. If only a Micronauts MCU film with Bug making his way to Guardians of the Galaxy as in the comics. You know what? They don't even need to do a Micronauts movie because Bug is fully owned by Marvel, so they could just stick him in there, and that would be great if he joined the Guardians. I'd love that. Okay, what else do we have here? We got another one. Oh, sorry. Let's find out when is Carnage coming out. Carnage is coming out the same day as Ghost Rider on September 30th. So you get two of those back to back. They could have just shipped those to me in one box and saved some postage. I don't know why they sent them in two different boxes, but there you go. Okay, gotta be careful not to poke the comics. Two epics in this box here. One is Guardians of the Galaxy. We'll talk about that in a second. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Spider-Man. So we just talked about a modern book, so let's talk about a classic book now. Guardians of the Galaxy Epic Collection, Volume 3, Homecoming. This is the 90s, 1990 to 1992. And the last two volumes, um, yes, be careful when opening books from the bottom. So many of my books have a slash across the covers because of carelessness. Yes, I was being very careful. The 90s is classic now? Well, yeah, man, this was like 35 years ago. Um, right? Almost 40 years ago was 1990. That's got to be classic. And in the 90s, the 60s, in fact, the 50s were 40 years before that. Um, or well, the 60s were 30 years before that, and we were calling the 60s classic in the 90s. So if that's the case, then the 90s is classic now. Um, there's the spine. That's Korvac, I believe, there on the back there, right? And then there's the back cover. Jim Valentino's 31st Century Epic kicks into high gear. So the first two volumes of this were all the very classic material. If you call this classic, then the other was maybe vintage, the vintage material, starring mostly the Avengers issues. The Korvac saga was the main bulk of the previous volume, and the first volume had a lot of those early appearances from these guys here, which their roots go back to, I think it's 1969 is when they first appeared. And they had sporadic appearances throughout the 70s. They'd appear in things like Marvel 2-in-1 and Marvel Team Up, and they shared a title um, in, I can't remember what the book was. Marvel Presents, I think it was Marvel Presents Guardians of the Galaxy, and um, so in the second volume, it's still the 70s stuff, and then they kind of disappear for a while, and then Jim Valentino brings them back in the 90s with a brand new title, and the first 6 issues are in the previous volume. So this book has issues 7 through 20 plus annual 1 and material from Fantastic Four Annual 24, Thor Annual 16, and Silver Surfer Annual 4, which is one of those big annual crossover stories where the Guardians of the Galaxy are the common thread between all of them. And I think that that story has been reprinted in full in the Fantastic Four annual, but I can't remember. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't. Um, anyway, let's take a look inside. The first 6 issues of the series are really great. I totally enjoyed it. The Quest for the Shield. You can see writers Al Milgrom, Ron Mars, Tom DeFalco. Those are the people who are doing the annual stories. And then art from Jim Valentino, Al Milgrom, Ron Lim, Alex Trimpey, and Herb Trimpey. Um, so I think, yeah, a lot of those people are the ones who show up in the annuals. Jim Valentino was doing everything on this title here. I think almost everything. He was it was a singular vision. Let's see, what is this first issue here? This is Guardians of the Galaxy number 7. Oh, Phil says it was Marvel Presents, but Guardians was the only feature. Yeah, I'm mixing it up with the Inhumans who shared a title with, I think, Black Widow in a different book. But that's, yeah, that's it. Um, so yeah, what was I saying? Jim Valentino was the driving force behind this book as writer and artist. And of course, it was quite popular at the time, and then popular enough that when a bunch of creators got dissatisfied with the way things were going at Marvel, they decided to bug out and form Image Comics. And Jim Valentino was one of those guys. There's the 31st century version of Wolverine. So this book takes place in the far future. The Guardians of the Galaxy are a team of superheroes. One character is from each planet. I think the lone survivor of each planet, and so they each have their own look. And they're each their well, they spread out the bonus features throughout the different pages. So here's some original art. Um, oh, Phoenix. There you go. Yeah, we saw Phoenix on the back cover there. Um, each of them have a different power set based on their race from their planet, and that's kind of cool that's why they're guardians of the whole galaxy, because they all come together from a different part of the galaxy, and I think that's a neat concept. Later on, more recently, like in the early 2000s, they um, Abnett and Landing took the concept of Guardians of the Galaxy and said, well, that wasn't the first team, because there's a modern day Guardians of the Galaxy team, and that's where Star Lord comes in. And so they, oh, here's the TVA, Mr. Mobius. Um, what was I saying? The, oh yeah, and the future Thor from Tom DeFalco's run from the Thor Corps. Yeah, this is the annual story. So Ron Lim and Ron Mars on the Silver Surfer issue. This is a future story as well, and in the future, um, Silver Surfer has the quantum bands, Quasar's quantum bands. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. Like I said, the first 6 issues were a lot of fun. I enjoyed them quite a bit, so um, it'll be really neat to see how they how the story progresses from here. Did Curtis just make Pluto into a planet again? Yes. Well, in the 31st century, Pluto is a planet again. So at some point in the future, they're going to change it back. It's just the way it is. It's foretold in these ancient texts that prophesy the future. I'm guessing the modern era stuff for Guardians will be labeled as Guardians 3000, which is what they got renamed a few years later. So, funny thing, we already have modern era Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's the stuff from the Annihilation era that starring Star-Lord and Drax and Gamora. It's that team. That's where the modern era for Guardians of the Galaxy starts. The They will probably just keep the Guardians 3000, which is, yes, like you said, the numbering stays the same, but once it's no longer Valentino, they just call it Guardians 3000. Um, and oh, let me see if I got this right. That's what the trade paperbacks were. I don't know that they actually renamed the comic itself at the time 3000, right? And maybe I think there might have been a mini series later on that was maybe called Guardians 3000, but I think that will be included in the classic era as well. Anything regarding this team before the year 2000 will probably be in um, the classic era epic collections. Okay, like I said, there is bonus material scattered throughout this book, but what is at the end? Oh, let me turn off the comment. Not much. We have a Marvel Age article, and that's it. All of the other bonus pages, I'm assuming like original art and stuff, is going to be scattered between issues, because I think they need to compensate for double page spreads, because when you take out the ads, sometimes they don't line up quite right. So that's what we're doing here. Cool stuff. Jim Valentino is definitely in that Image crowd. He falls suit with, like, Rob Liefeld and all of them in his style in this era. So there you go. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man Modern Era Epic Collection. Get this, volume 14. This is big time. It's the start of the big time era of Spider-Man, kind of in the middle of Dan Slott, I believe, right? Because does Dan Slott come on right after to finish up the Brand New Day era, and then this is his big time era. And let's see here. Amazing Spider-Man 649 to 662 plus 654.1 and material from 648. Whoa, a mouthful. The years collected here are 2010 and 2011. Foster Kid says, "Hey, Curtis, hey to you too. The Abnett Landing stuff is some of the best modern era. I loved those two books. Yeah, I thought they were great. Pretty sure Big Time is considered the formal beginning of Slott's run. Nice. Is The Amazing Spider-Man the epic with the most recent content? No, that honor goes to Spider-Man and Deadpool, which gets all the way up to 2019, I believe. Let me just double check that on my little spreadsheet here. Um, yeah, so Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider Volume 3, which isn't out yet, it will go up to July of 2019, and then Spider-Man Deadpool, which just came out just a couple weeks ago, ends at July 2019, and so that's the most recent stuff in the modern era so far. This doesn't even come close. It's 9 years before that. There's a lot of Spider-Man to go on after this. This was previously collected in a thick trade. They called it, well, they just called it the big time, the complete collection, I believe. And so there were, I think, 4 or 5 of those. And this one is the same content. It's exactly the same. They've just rebranded it as a modern era epic collection. It's not a thin one, it's nice and thick. So that's kind of cool. And it's going to have lots of, let's see here, Humberto Ramos, that he's going to be the main artist on here, along with Stefano Caselli, Marcos Martin, Riley Brown, and Javier Polito, with most of this written by Dan Slott, a couple of other writers on here for some of the backup stories. But yes, this is the period where Spider-Man is on the Avengers alongside Wolverine, and you can tell by this costume with this kind of mesh on his arm here that this is the um, J. Michael Straczynski era of Thor and the new Avengers era of Avengers. Ramos has done so much in the way of Spider-Man over the years. Hey, he's been on that title for a long time. And I don't think he's currently on any Spider-Man book right now, but he keeps on coming back. And there's Flash Thompson. This is his Agent Venom era as well. Another Goblin story. That Goblin plays a big role in the Brand New Day stuff, the big time stuff. Um, yeah, he'll be. I can't remember what his. That's not actually a Hobgoblin, or maybe it's a new Hobgoblin. I can't remember. It sure looks like his costume, but he's got wings, so he flies around. Um, but yeah, very different. This is definitely. Some people love this era, and some people hate it. Some people say it strays way too far from the core concept of Spider-Man and such. And you're absolutely right. He does do that, but for a purpose. And I like it when writers try new things, and if it's popular, then the story keeps going. And that's what was the problem with the Clone Saga, is that people kept buying it. So they're like, well, let's keep the Clone Saga going because people are enjoying it. Um, and the same with Big Time. There's Agent Venom. Dan Slott's Spider-Man concept with all of the tech and all of that. Um, it stuck around for quite a while because people were buying it and sales were fine. Um, If they start to slip, then they pull it back. That never seemed to happen. Never seemed to be the case for the longest time. Yeah, lots of different artists in here, different styles. That looks like Marcos Martin, I think. So, and then we get a new spider suit. That one doesn't last very long. People didn't like it, so they turned him back. Hey, that's a familiar setup, isn't it? Spider-Man #1. There we go. Ah, this is the Hickman era of Fantastic Four with the Future Foundation. It's all happening at the same time. That was quite a wild time for comics, wasn't it? All of that all of that stuff happening at the same time. I love Hickman's Fantastic Four. And there's Spider-Woman with her old costume on with the covering up her hair. Okay, let's see. What's in the way of Avengers Academy? That's cool. Um, some more Ghost Rider content for those of you who love Ghost Rider. Let's see. I'll get a good picture. Spider-Man riding a bone cycle. uh, weird. That's the kind of stuff you see in the Silver Age. People say it's ridiculous to have it in a modern comic, but it's like, no, let's make comics fun again. Not much in the way of bonus features here, too. Not even variant covers. But we do have some concept art, which is nice. There we go. And yeah, this comic comes out before Carnage. I opened the boxes in the wrong order, I guess. So these books are coming out on the same day. Let me see. Let me just check that date. I think this is next week. Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out on the 16th. Spider-Man's coming out on the 23rd. And then these two are coming out on the 30th. So that brings us up to the end of September. That's pretty cool. That is a lot of good reading there. Two classics, two moderns. That's a nice spread. And then also, you can pick up some DC Finest horror. What do you think about that? 16th. Today is the 17th. Oh, today, well, today, maybe where you are. So Guardians of the Galaxy comes out. Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. My dates must be wrong. I don't think the Guardians of the Galaxy came out today. Got pushed. You know who I have to consult is my buddy Philip Ayres from the Epic Collection group because he stays on top of all of the date changes. So let me just pull up his little schedule here. Guardians of the Galaxy and Spider-Man Big Time are both coming out on the 23rd. There you go. So that's it. It did get pushed a week. So these two are coming up the 23rd, and then the other two, Death Race and Carnage USA, are both coming out on the 30th. There we are. That is the schedule now. That's right, because Generation X came out today, and that one was pushed by a week as well. So that's where we're at. The modern epics seem too sparse, Spartan for the price. Well, I mean, they're not though. They're all the same size, right? I mean, they they I mean, it's just the fact that it's decompressed storytelling, but if you look at page count, I mean, those are the same. Those look like they're the same width. That's Guardians of the Galaxy. By the way, this one has the new price of $60. It's got a $60 cover price on here. That is so talk about little sparse for the price. This one is 55. This one's 55. All the rest of them are 55. And I believe that's just because this one has a higher page count. This one actually pushes to like over 500. Yeah, this one's over, which shouldn't justify that big of an increase, but there you go. That's what it is. Um, yeah, it's hard. I don't like talking about the prices on this because I'm grateful that Marvel is still putting the stuff and sending them to me, but you can't beat the $40 price tag on the DC Finest. It's just it's just it doesn't look great for Marvel, right? But from what I understand, Marvel didn't have a choice. They have some people, some higher ups who are like, you gotta, who don't, they were just like, you gotta increase the cover price to maximize our profits or whatever. It's like you're gonna price out your collector group pretty soon. But anyway, I don't want to get too negative. Um, Marvel is gracious enough to send these my way, so I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, But we got to be honest about that kind of stuff as well. And Marvel needs to know that people are not happy with that, but they are still putting out these these amazing books and content that some of it hasn't been collected before. Actually, most of this stuff has been collected in one way or another, in collections, either smaller trades or the Marvel Masterworks or previous like complete collections. So um, no new previously unreleased, uncollected material here, except for in the horror book from DC. So there you go. Let's see what the chat has to say here. How many epics are there this month in September? Well, if we talk about these four right here, plus Spider-Man Deadpool, so that's five, plus Generation X and Micronauts and Daredevil, that is, and Star Wars Kanan. No, that was last month. So we got eight epic collections this month. One, two, three, four. Five of them are classic, three of them are modern. That is September for you. And my only problem with DC Finance is that in-stock trades take so long to ship, but they have the best price value. Yeah, that's not an issue with DC Finest, though. That's an issue with in-stock trades. So really, you don't have any problem with DC Finest, unless DC is just not shipping them to in-stock trades or something. I don't know, but everywhere else is getting them on time, so I don't know why they aren't. Getting expensive overseas too. Tell me about it. Absolutely. Um, the Canadian cover price on a $60 Epic Collection is 72 or 75. $75. I that what? $75? Unreal. I remember when $60 was the standard price for a brand new video game. That wasn't even that long ago. Yeah, everything's going up. Video games stayed low in price for a long time, longer than they should have. They should have been going up in price incrementally, but they didn't. So now it's jumping to like $80 or something, and that's probably what they should be priced at. Um, but it's everything is so expensive. Um, the only thing that's not expensive is paying your employees. That's why our rates, fees, or our wages are not going up as fast. Marvel epics are cheaper in overstock. Yes, that's true. But like I said earlier in the stream, Marvel is putting their print runs a lot closer to the actual pre-order amounts. So there aren't going to be as many in overstock, I think, coming up. You're not going to see as many of them head out to Ollie's or anything like that. So that's your warning. Can you suggest the best classic volumes for Cap and Hulk? I'm not their biggest fan, but I would like to collect those. Yeah, sure. Hulk, I really like, from what I've read, because I haven't read all of them yet, but from what I've read, I think volumes like 3 to anywhere like 10, 11, like those ones are super good. A lot of it is um Bill Mantlo, Roger Stern, um like that stuff. I really really like those epics. um Parts of Peter David's run are really great. I like Peter David's run when Hulk gets to be Smart Hulk, or they call him Professor Hulk, and that's which volumes are those? I always forget which volumes are what the numbers are when you get that high. We're talking like volume 19, 20, and 21. I really like 19, 20, and 21. So those are good. Captain America, um, I like the kind of the middle of the road stuff for Captain America in the 60s. So we're talking about like volumes 3, 4, 5. Stan Lee's still on there. Roy Thomas, Sal Buscema, John Buscema. That's what is that one? Bucky Reborn, Hero or Hoax, and Secret Empire. I like those volumes a lot. And then later on, the beginning of Mark Gruenwald's run is really good too, starting in the Society of Serpents and going through Justice is Served, Volume 13, Volume 14, The Captain, Volume 15, Bloodstone Hunt, and then after that, you can pick and choose whether or not you want to read after that. But so those are my recommendations for Captain America and Hulk. I see that Conroy Jet agrees with me. Roger Stern's Hulk is great. Hulk was the most consistently fun book Marvel put out between 1962 and 1990. Yeah, or sorry, quietly, Hulk was the most consistently fun book. It was great. Yeah, those volumes, and especially in the 70s, I think, are really great. Buscema, yeah, John Buscema. Sorry, I saying Ramita, or are you correcting me, or are you just agreeing? I don't remember. Mr. Tech says, now I have all three of the Spider-Man Deadpool Modern Era Epic collections. Yeah, isn't that great that the series is complete? That's really nice to see. I always love it when um always love it when that happens, when we complete a line, even if it's a small one. Either Wade or Byrne or and Stern are coming out soon. For Hulk or for Captain America. Mark Wade's Captain America has an epic collection coming out. Oh yeah, you see, Cap has a good one coming out. Yeah, it's Mark Wade's Captain America: Heroes Return. I haven't read that, so I can't say whether it's good or not, but I'll take your word for it. Bill Mantlo that followed Stern with the great Sal. Oh, I see. You're correcting yourself. Sal Buscema art. Darn that autocorrect, correcting you the wrong way, right? Will Spider-Man, Superior Spider-Man, have its own epic line? Great question. Personally, I hope not. I really want them to just do Amazing Spider-Man volume, whatever it'll be, 21 or 22. And because why break up the numbering? The numbering stays the same. Sorry, doesn't stay the same. It does get rebooted, Superior Spider-Man number one. And then they reboot it to number one after that. But it's the same, like it's Superior Spider-Man is just the replacement title. And if they take that story out, you still have epic collections that will be on either side of it, Spider-Man ones. And if you smush them together, we'll just have like one text page saying, here's what happened for like 2 years of Spider-Man. Um, Sorry, we're not including it in the Spider-Man epics. So I would like them to just call it Amazing Spider-Man Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 52 or whatever, colon Superior Spider-Man. Easy as that. That's what I say. If I could only own one Terry and the Pirates book from my library, which would you recommend? Great question. Um, Let me just double check. I can't remember what year it is. I have to remember here. Okay, here, let's see here. I got to look up which volumes are which because it's not at the beginning. Terry and the Pirates is one of the greatest comics of all time, if not the greatest. And I've said this many times on my stream. But the first volume may turn people off because he was still learning his craft at the time. He was still pretty raw and not quite at the level that he would get at later on. Um, Milton Caniff is the author, and he is so good. Um, no, that's not helpful. We have a series of books called the Master Collection that has the whole series that Milton Caniff did for 12 volumes. I see that I would go for volume 6, which is 1940. So any collection that you can find that has 1940 collected in there. The other good one is 1936, which is volume 2, which he progressed rapidly. Like he got really good really fast. So volume 1, by the end of volume 1, he's excellent. So volume 2 is called The Burma Blues, and that one has a story called with Burma, and it's really really good. Volume 6 also an excellent story. So I would recommend either of those ones, 1936 or 1940. Thanks for asking about Terry and the Pirates. I always love talking about Terry. Um, I personally love the Cap Wolf story where Captain America turns into a werewolf, but I think I'm in the minority. No, that one's fun. That one's fun. I like that one too. Hulk was definitely Marvel's number 2 in the 70s. Any recommendations for Iron Man? This is a hard one because Iron Man doesn't have those classic eras represented in Epic collections yet. And a lot of that other stuff I didn't find that great. I don't really like early Iron Man very much. Iron Man through the 70s, the Michelini stuff is the stuff that people really like. And some of that is out. The John Byrne volume War Games is really good. I like that one, but that's hard to find now. And then also the Denny O'Neil volumes I like those ones a lot as well. That one's The Enemy Within and Duel of Iron, those two volumes. What numbers are they? 10 and 11. So I like volume 10 and 11. And then a few years later, volume 14. No, what is it? 16? Volume 16, War Games. I like that one too. And then he's got some okay eras here and there, but for the most part, I find Iron Man in the classic era to be a little lackluster. Any sign of Walt Simonson's Thor? Yes. Coming in 2026, actually, the first volume of Walter Simonson's Thor, it's going to be volume 13, is coming out in March of 2026. So look forward to that. Ron Garney art is very easy on the eyes. Yeah, he's great. But what would be more modern than renumbering with a new number 1 for Superior Spider-Man Modern? Yeah. That would be very, very on the nose. Absolutely. Are we moving in some great 80s stories? We are moving into some great 80s stories. Miller on Daredevil, Byrne on FF, Simonson on Thor, and Stern on Spider-Man. All of those volumes, yes, they are. The Daredevil already started. That one came out a couple weeks ago. And then, yes, those other three, John Byrne, Simonson, and Stern, all of those classic runs are starting in Epic Collections in early 2026. Fantastic Four, Volume 13, the first volume of John Byrne's run, is coming out in February. And then we have Nothing Stops the Juggernaut, also Volume 13. Those are all Volume 13, coming out in June of 2026. And then Mutant Massacre, X-Men Mutant Massacre is coming out in July. Man, this is going to be 2026 is going to be a great year. And then De-Evolution, more of Matt Lowe's Hulk is coming out. And Absolute Vision, um, part of Roger Stern's Avengers, is coming out in April. Man, that's just hit after hit right there. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. How did you like Hawkman Wings Across Time? It was okay. It wasn't it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, and I think the reason is that it gets really bogged down with its text. And now I don't say that as in like I don't like reading text, but I found it just overly verbose. And I think part of that is because what I wasn't expecting is it's kind of a detective book, right? I knew that Hawkman was a police officer, but he really goes into the detective work, like, more than Batman is a detective in those stories, and I like that. However, he spends way too much time, just expositing the dialogue instead of, like, taking us along on the journey. So there's so much just standing around and talking instead of showing us and leading us through the journey, and I didn't like that very much. So I'm hoping that a different era of Hawkman will be a little bit better. I did like the world building. I liked learning more about the world that Hawkman came from, and I love the relationship between he and his wife. I think that's a neat, unique thing that brings to the book there, and the artwork is fantastic. Murphy Anderson is such a good artist. So that's just yeah, going through there. Um, when do you think we'll get more DC Finest announcements? It won't be for a while, maybe the um February, because we already got the catalog for the next several months, so it won't be a while. It won't be for a while. Same question, yeah. Um, Same with Marvel. I think it's not going to be till the new year if I remember things correctly. I wonder if Epics will start getting the same treatment the Masterworks got in terms of art restoration. I doubt it, because if they are raising the price of these Epic collections to the amount that they are now without doing any restoration, can you imagine if they have to restore the pages and pay somebody to do all that stuff and factor that into the cover price? We're going to be talking about $100 books. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that they'll do the cheapest way possible. Maybe they'll dance around stuff that hasn't been masterworked yet. Fortunately for the classic lines, the remaining volumes of those long-standing runs are they're already masterworked for the most part, and if they're not, they've already been remastered in some way. Maybe not to the top level, but they have digital files for all that stuff, so they can keep pumping out those volumes. It'll be more for when we see more uncollected stuff. If they like, we can see it in Generation X. Generation X was just they just were scanning their comics because they don't have digital files for that stuff. Even though it was the digital era of comics, those early volumes of Generation X have some very suspect reproductions or restorations. No restorations, basically. The new volume that came out looks fantastic because I think by that time they actually did have digital files on hand. They could hire Rembrandt to redraw those issues the price with the price on Epics these days. Yeah. I mean, I have no idea what they're spending their money on. So if they have to justify spending like hiking the price, the costs must be going somewhere. I can't imagine that they just are doing it simply because of the profit increase. Like, I don't think that I'm pretty sure that they're factoring other things there, but I don't know what they are. I love it if Marvel made hardcover epics to replace the Masterworks if they do get fully canceled. Honestly, the reason they're canceling it is to save money. So increasing the production of other books is not probably not going to happen because that goes against what they are trying to do by doing these cost saving measures. Your answer is Omnis. That's your hardcover version of Masterworks now is the omnibus. So that's where you need to go to get that stuff. Yeah, tariffs is probably some of it. Um, I don't know. Um, there are no tariffs on books as far as I know, or maybe that's changed. The laws and these stuff they're changing all the time, so I have no idea. But yeah, if you're printed overseas or printed in Canada, they do still have to cross the border, so they're subject to certain levies. I don't know what they are, but there definitely is that factor. And the timing of this price increase coming out in September when the tariff, like the tariff minimum amounts had just been lifted. So they were looking ahead and planning ahead for that. So that probably is what it is. It probably is tariffs because the timing works out completely. Which Epic slash DC Finest collections have been the biggest surprises for you this year? So out of the ones that have come out this year, what have been the surprises? Um, let's see. I've read Annihilation for the first time and loved it. I thought that one was great, even though it was just a collection of miniseries. That was a big surprise. Uh, um, big surprise. Big surprise. I don't know if any of these have been surprises. Most of the classic era were I knew what to expect. So and I've read all the Ultimate stuff before. Oh, I just read the Kanan Epic Collection that came out a little while, Star Wars, based on the character from Star Wars Rebels, and it was really good. I was surprised by that because I wasn't sure being a like a TV show tie-in if it would be any good. I haven't watched the TV show, but it doesn't matter. It's actually still a really good story, despite that. Young Avengers, I was surprised at because it was super good, and I heard it's good, but it's different reading it for yourself. Um, I was actually one of the biggest surprises was the Deadpool Modern Era Epic Collection, Volume 5 in Wade We Trust. I actually didn't finish that one. I didn't like it. And I don't think that there has been another Epic Collection where I just have put it down and said, I'm just not reading the rest of this. So that was a surprise because um, I really like Spider-Man Deadpool. I thought that series was really good. There's a surprise for you. Um, but that one I was just not into. Weird. Or maybe not weird. I don't know. But I heard that that run was really good. I love the Super Scroll Mini. Yeah, that was the biggest surprise. People were down on that one when I was first talking about it because of the art style, because it's got a way more cartoony look to it. But that story is actually super good. I really liked it. Yeah, 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 yeah. No surprise to you. Um, yeah, it's just a surprise because I've read some stuff, some of the epics that I just haven't really enjoyed at all, but I've finished it all the way. This one I actually didn't. A bit off topic, and I know it's been out for a while, but I was curious if you watched the new Superman movie and your thoughts on it. I did. I saw it a couple times in the theater. I really liked it. I thought it had a, it was just super fun. I say super is super fun. I love all of the side characters that they included in there. It was just yeah, it was a great time. I didn't have any problems with it. Some people were down on it because he was like getting beat up constantly and stuff. But I thought it was all there for with a purpose, and I like that they had brought some more humanity. He was stoic when he needed to be stoic, and he was concerned when he needed to be concerned. And I thought this is a really great interpretation of Superman. I loved it. Thought it was great. Looking forward to seeing what the next one's like. Oh, you're late to the show, Partworks comic reader. You're just showing up now. I talked about a bunch of stuff. You're gonna have to watch it on the replay because I'm not going to go through all of this all again. We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. I think it's probably time to wrap up, but I'll take a few more questions here. Let's see here. I will be collecting Miller's Daredevil and Walt's Thor. Can you recommend any others for the characters? Thanks. Your opinion on this topic means a lot. For Thor, I'm always going to say Tom DeFalco's Thor in the 90s. I absolutely love. I think it's great. Um, it just kind of it has that a classic feel to both the art and the writing, new concepts, and just goes into some crazy places. So that's War of the Pantheon and the volumes that follow that. So we're talking about, let's see, War of the Pantheons is volume 16. So going through 16, 17, 18, and 19 as well, where it starts to fall apart a little bit. But 16, 17, 18, really good. Love that stuff. So that's what I would recommend for Thor. And what was the other one? Um, oh, Daredevil. I really like the Daredevil Modern Era Epic Collections by Brian Michael Bendis. I just think that they are absolutely phenomenal. Great hard hitting story. I love the just the um, I love it when characters just get thrown through the ringer and have to kind of climb their way up out of that, and that's what happens in there, and it's great. The last volume of that one is coming out in 2026, I think. Check the schedule on that. So yes, it's coming out in February of 2026. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that wraps up. Do you think Titan Comics will produce epic-like format for Conan? They said that they would. When they first got that, they said that they were going to continue the Omnis and the Epic collections where Marvel left off with a similar trade dress, so you can slot them into your shelf and they would look like they belong. And they're doing that with the Omnis, but I think all of their attention has been on the Omnis, and I think that they realize that they've bitten off a little bit more they can chew because they've had delays and had to figure out their whole process for that. So I think they're just concentrating on one thing at a time, and the epics will come hopefully, hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, are you going to check out Deadpool Batman comic coming out tomorrow? I'm not, not right away at least. I'll wait till whenever. It's coming out tomorrow. Oh yeah, yeah. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Oh, I see what your comment the comment up here is about the 16th. Um, where did that go? Someone was commenting because I said that originally that this book was coming out on the 16th, which is today, and where it's not, it's coming out tomorrow. But the point was that it's not a Wednesday, that's a Tuesday. You're right, because Epic Collections now, because they're distributed by Penguin Random House, they don't get the direct market doesn't get the 2 week lead time anymore. They come out in the same week. They come out in the same week in the book market as they do in the comic market. And in the book market, new release day is Tuesday. So all of the trade paperbacks, omnis, they get released on the 16th in the book market, and then on comic shops on the day after on Wednesday. So that is that's where that's at. Um, Phil says they're doing a blindingly good job with the Omnis. Yeah, that's great to see. That I'm glad that they had figured out their process and that they're providing a quality product. That's really good, and they've been coming up pretty quick too, pretty fast. So yeah, that's great. Do you plan on getting the Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus? I'm not. I read that first volume and I did not like it. And I usually love everything that JMD Mateus writes, but I didn't find that one enjoyable at all. So I will be skipping on that. Um, but more power to all you who like that stuff. I'm glad that you do. You didn't. You should have got here earlier. But it was a good show. What's your favorite era of Daredevil? Um, I'm gonna have to go with Miller because it was kind of the only era in the classic Daredevil that I enjoyed. Like that's the one I enjoyed the most. All the other ones are like, I could, give or take. But again, favorite era of Daredevil so far, probably Brian Michael Bendis. I really like that stuff. And you keep on asking all these questions. My favorite era of Fantastic Four is the Tom DeFalco era in the '90s. You got to get that. 2 months until Thought Bubble. I think Steve White, who's collected edition editor at Titan, should be tabling again. Yeah, Thought Bubble is a big convention in the UK. That's the UK, right? And so, yeah, you should have fun with that. I hope you get to meet a lot of people and pick up a lot of comics. That'll be great. Yeah, I'd love to go out there sometime for Thought Bubble, and not just for the Marvel stuff. Like there is such an incredible world of comics in the UK that stems beyond the superhero world. It's just there's some incredible and massively underrated and underappreciated comics here in North America. Or sorry, from the UK, underappreciated here in North America. Uh, Stuff like the Trigon Empire and 13, Largo Winch, all of this stuff just really, really, really good. So check out comics from around the world, people. There's some really good stuff from stuff outside of North America. Um, Walking Dead is great. It's my favorite show of all time. I watch it on a continuous loop all the time. I'm back on season 2 again, watching it for the first time with one of my sons, and I love it. I love it to pieces. And the comic is super good too. I really like the comic as well. So there you go. Okay, I think I got to wrap it up here. We've been on for a long time, and I need to go make some dinner because I'm getting hungry. So thanks everybody for being part of my stream today. It has been a lot of fun talking with you, and we've had some great time talking about old comics, horror comics, new comics. Do you sense a theme? I think because they're coming out in late September, we're getting some horror themed comics here. And it's wonderful to see just in time for some spooky Halloween October reading. And I hope everybody has a great week. And I will see you next time. And I'll have some more books for you. I know I'm getting a DC Finest in the mail pretty soon. The next one, Spectre. So we'll take a look at that one. And whatever else Marvel decides to send my way, we'll take a look at that as well. Thanks, everybody. And have a great evening. Have a great week. Oh, and I thought I was going to be on another stream this week, but I don't think I am. So you'll just have to wait to see me again next Tuesday.